To order the Town of McCandless agenda review meeting. First matter of business, which is not on the agenda, is I'd like to thank officially again the emergency responders that so bravely and skillfully handled the big apartment fire that we had this week. The Red Cross also just, we had so many people participate. It really gives you a sense of community. The Red Cross came with helping with short-term housing and some necessary resources. The McCandless Community Association helped raise money for the fire victims. North Hills Community Outreach also. Treasure House helped with women's clothing. It was just an outpouring of generosity. Beyond storage. And I apologize, I'm sure I've missed someone. These are just some of the ones that I have, and there was certainly no intention to miss anyone, but I just, heartfelt thank you to all the members of the community who stood by these individuals who lost so much. And we're so happy that everyone is safe. Recommendation that council adopt a resolution approving the municipal corporation agreement with Allegheny County for drainage improvements and future maintenance on improved sections of Highland Road. The town intends to install approximately 500 feet of storm pipe and 7 catch basins along Highland Road to collect and convey stormwater from Harmony Drive. Allegheny County is upgrading its drainage facilities downstream from those of the town, is installing and connecting to the county storm sewer system. You want to say anything about that? We have this agreement in here. This is one of those things we're all kind of working together when things are getting done, and this would be our resolution.
Yes. This formalizes the agreement between the county and the town to undertake these improvements along Highland Road. It outlines the responsibilities of each party ongoing for maintenance purposes. And the purpose of the resolution is to formally authorize the signature of the agreement.
And that agreement was in your packet.
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to our county council representative. She worked very hard on behalf of the town and the community, and that's a very favorable agreement. And I think we're fortunate to have the governments working together as closely as they are, just like on Saturday. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Any other comments about that? Is it all right to add this to our agenda next?
The people on Highland Road are very, very happy about this.
Yes.
Very happy.
Good, that's always good. It's okay then, we'll add this to the agenda to vote on next week? Okay, so we'll add that to our agenda. Okay, we're going to review the tentative business meeting agenda. Invocation, Greg, yours, the Pledge of Allegiance, you have that. Your meeting minutes are in your pack. Under announcements, I have asked to have added presentation, proclamation to be given to the 2 gentlemen who actually saw the smoke, called the alarm, and started evacuating the building. There were 2 delivery gentlemen from Levin, a furniture store. So I think the town, we should recognize them. They didn't have to do that. Then we'll go over our reports and committees. Finance, we approving our checks, list of checks, which is in our pack. Anybody have any question about the checks or the bills at all? Okay. Next is the technology committee to get that started. Questions or comments about that?
We haven't chosen any people yet, have we?
We'll interview, just like, we'll interview like our appointment policy.
So we won't do that next week, though.
No, we'll,
We have to advertise, remember how we
Right, yeah,
advertised for
okay,
like
okay.
6 weeks, and then collect all the names, then we interview?
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll do that. Any other questions about that? Then we're moved to adopt the resolution, amending resolution 13, authorizing temporary investment of the town funds with the new town manager. We talked about this already, housekeeping. As well as number 4, which would be to appoint our new town manager and Ms. Wagner to the Allegheny North Tax Collection Committee. We talked about that. Any questions about those? They're pretty standard. Resolution number 7, a resolution for the adoption declaring the town's intent to destroy non-permanent obsolete public records in accordance with the rules, what records we have to keep, what records we have to get rid of. If any council members have stacks of paper going up their wall that they don't need anymore, this is covered under this, just please let the town know about how much you're bringing, because they need to know how many bins to get to dispose of this. So if you've got some papers you want to get rid of, this is a secure way for you to do that. Public Works this week to award the contract for the Town Square culvert repair. We saw that bid. Move to authorize the purchase of a 10-ton dump truck. This was from CoStar. This was in our budget, something we knew was coming up, $74,000. Any questions at all about that?
Not the full truck, it's the body, right, yeah.
Just the body.
Is it just the body?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I wish we could get the full truck for that.
Truck. Now they get a
If
whole
we could,
truck
we'd get
for
3 or 4.
$74,000. Okay, all right, just the truck body then. I guess we gotta get an engine next year? No, I don't know. Move
You can just
Pay for
admire
a
it.
piece at a time,
Yeah,
at
you can
that price.
Just admire it for a
Just set it
while.
out front so people think we got it. Public safety, this is an ordinance adhering to the amendment of restarting Part 9, Title 1, the town's codified ordinances to regulate objects in the right-of-way, signs, right-of-way, and to establish an enforcement protocol and penalties. Any comments on that? Appreciate Bill's help on that, and Lynn Atman helped you with that. Dawn Miller
Dawn
helped you.
Miller as
Yeah,
well,
Dawn
yes.
Miller.
Mhm.
Mhm. We love when citizens help us get some of this stuff done. Any comments about that? Zoning, move to adopt number 14, ordinance 87, the ordinance pertaining to Part 13 of planning, zoning, and codified ordinances of the town to modify development standards and master plan regulation in order to provide more flexibility for land development. And C5, this is the Blazer property, residential district to allow personal care to be permitted in that area. The C5 district consists of Trader Horn and Valley sites. Okay. Move to approve the preliminary and final approval of a subdivision lot consolidation application for the Sheets for property located Montclair, Perry Highway. We know these properties well. As per the filing of, I'm not reading all those numbers, prepared by GAI Consultants. That will be voted on next week. Move to approve preliminary and final land development application of the Sheets for the plan titled Sheet Store 115 Rebuild located at 131 Montclair, the 3 Perry Highway properties. Preliminary and final subdivision. Here's the file number again, with the latest revision being, do we know what day's gonna go in there?
not yet,
Okay.
we'll have it by the end of the week.
Recording the land development plan, and this is just for approving the development. I can read the whole thing if you want. A note being placed on the plan site that any regulatory warning or directional signs to be installed as part of the Sheets development are responsibility of the property owners to maintain, approved by PennDOT or the highway occupancy permit. Did we get that yet?
Not yet.
Not yet, still waiting on that, okay. Associated with the land development and approval of the addition of the left lane, turn lanes on Perry Highway. The replacement of the traffic signal proposed by Sheets are significant mitigation to support the request of Sheets for the marginal level of service, the waiver of PennDOT's standard entitlement policy and procedures for transportation impact studies related to highway occupancy permits. So, do we normally, while we're, move to approve this while all these things are pending?
The actual approval wouldn't be in
I
place.
would-
Our approval would not take effect until all of these
Okay,
items are in our possession. We're aware of all of these things.
okay. And is it normal for us to vote to approve this even before these? I mean, it seems like these things ought to be in place and then we vote.
You're voting with the conditions that these things occur.
Okay. Anybody?
The folks from Sheets are here if you have any questions for them regarding.
It was just a procedural question. It seems like, yeah, we approved this, but there are all these other conditions that have to go yet. It seems like we
It's
waited
a-
till they were all approved and then vote on it, but that's fine. Recreation and Cultural Committee meetings move to authorize the policy and procedures for the Canlis North Allegheny Heritage Center fundraising and promotional activities prepared by the Fundraising Development and Promotional Committee. That looks real nice too. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that, or does it look the Sheets guys are leaving the building?
Excuse me, Ryan Woods here again on behalf of Sheets, probably know my name by now. We wanted to just have a very brief presentation, just on a quick update to those plans based upon comments that we received from council last week and from residents' comments. So it would be very brief. We're not gonna go through the whole plan again. We know the council is very familiar with what's being proposed at this point. But if you wouldn't mind.
What does a lawyer call very brief?
Depends on if he's getting paid hourly or contingent.
We should
And
make it
you
wait
are.
at the end, and then we'll know how short it'll be.
I don't
Is
have a
everyone
problem
fine
with
with this?
No, I have no objection at all.
We're okay
Yeah,
with
no
hearing?
objection here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Set up the, I promise we'll keep it brief.
You promised,
I promise.
the attorney promised.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
There you
and aiming at the camera.
What else they could change?
Well, we were talking about the one sign, the speed bump.
Move it close as you can to the table, to the council table, so council and everybody can see it, so we have to have a chance here.
Okay, so everything that you're seeing here is very similar in terms of what was presented at last Monday's council meeting. The only changes that we are proposing, and this was based upon some concerns the council had raised again and some residents, was there was a proposed speed hump to be located basically that'd be the east of the proposed access on Montclair. That has since been removed. I think there were concerns about just vehicles driving over that every day that were heading to their residence on Montclair, ongoing maintenance, snow plowing, things like that. So based upon that feedback, we have gone ahead and since removed that. We're still proposing to stripe that and provide that sidewalk across Montclair to the AMCO property to the south there. Another revision is just in terms of providing the striping through the Montclair entrance itself. There's also going to be a depressed curb. What's proposed is a mountable curb to facilitate traffic and direct it, especially leaving the site, back to the right, back toward Perry Highway. But this has just been updated to go ahead and show the sidewalk access with ADA compliance there. Another update is, as we move forward to Perry Highway, is to propose a additional alternative location for students to be able to wait for the bus stop, should they choose to be on that side. And obviously that would be left to the student's choice in the school district as to where they'd like to have those students located. But we thought that that would provide an alternative location for those students to wait for the bus stop. And we also have still shown on here, to the extent that it's feasible, to provide sidewalk on the AMCO station, and also with a proposed bus stop pedestrian area there. So
Right now, they wait for the bus on the south corner of Montclair?
our understanding, yes, is
Yeah.
that it's in this area, correct. And that was confirmed by the owners of the AMCO facility, that the students do wait sort of in their parking lot.
This new potential bus stop, would there be any protection in case a car coming north went off the road as it made the bend? Like a steel pole or something that would just stop the car, yeah.
I'm sure we'd be happy to look into something like that.
Right, it
there'd
just
be an
seems like
interest.
that would be the if a car is gonna ever lose control, would be right into that bus stop.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the concern. I think
Yeah.
that's something,
Yeah, I
We
mean,
could look at, yeah.
we could put like the parking bollards that we have in front of the parking spaces.
Right,
We
just
could
2 or
line-
3,
Line the front of that.
right, just
little
something to
pad.
stop cars.
So what does proposed, if it's feasible, mean?
so there's, this is in your right of way. So that's actually McCandless right of way. So Sheets is basically providing under this that we would pay for that improvement to be made. Again, if it can work through being located in your right of way, so we obviously need to work with the town in terms of working through that process, but again, to the extent that it's something that can be done in your right of way, then we would provide the funds to have it, and we would actually install it ourselves.
Is there an issue with the Amico with having the sidewalk on that side?
There's not been an issue at this point, so there is gonna be a further meeting, Wednesday of this week
Okay.
with the owner of that property. There's been an initial meeting with, one of the individuals that's an operator there. And they showed some interest in having that actually there, because one concern that they have is that the children at this point sort of just wander the site. So potentially having a designated area would actually benefit them, whether it be on our side or on their side. That's just a concern that they initially had.
Would they be willing for you to put something up as you're putting it on your side over there also?
We'd have to talk with the owner, that's
Okay.
the
You haven't
issue.
discussed that yet?
So that's this, they were actually out of town, so that meeting is scheduled.
Okay.
Would there be any problem, Bob, that you see for a sidewalk in our right of way on that side?
None.
Okay, nothing you can think of?
Who would maintain the sidewalk?
Yeah,
It would be,
AMCO would.
the AMCO would be
Okay.
required. to
And they would be
maintain
required to shovel the snow and everything?
Under the ordinance, the current ordinance, they would be required to maintain it, shovel the side.
Okay.
Just a question on I know we've gone over this a gazillion times, but the in and out off of Montclair, I think I'm seeing that the arrow, the upper arrow, well, the one
This
above
upper,
that,
yeah.
There's an
that's an in,
in normally.
and that's somebody coming up Montclair can make a left-hand turn and go in.
Yes.
And then the
Yes.
only way of going out would be to go back out and make a right-hand turn to go out ultimately to Perry, or
Down here
or
at
down at the
the
corner.
light, right.
Correct, and what we do have on the plan, we walk through some proposed signage that would be, that we have indicated, at least on this plan. We're happy to work with the town to the extent that you think other things should be included in that, and we recognize that, that would be Sheets' responsibility to have those signs actually put in and maintain them as well.
Wasn't there some, excuse me if I talked earlier,
No,
but wasn't there some discussion, and I frankly don't recall precisely where we came down on, with finality, if I can use that term. Say a resident of Montclair has just purchased from Sheets or gotten gas, whatever,
Yes,
his or her only way of getting back to their street would be out the other side, back onto the main highway, and then hang a left, right?
that's correct, and that was revised in conversations with them and comments that we had heard, as they basically said, we don't wanna have any access, even if.
Okay.
Well, what if they
even-
sell, I
even
mean,
outside.
they sell someone to, the property to someone, and they want to use Sheets, and so that if they came out to the Montclair and exit, I think I remember
Look,
Steve.
Proposed sign now, it says proposed sign exit only instead of right turn only,
Right.
which solves that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, the discussion was the wording of traffic signage. Some of them were specific, no left turn, all traffic must turn right, versus generic signage of, 2 sheets or right turn only. We're more given directional as opposed to instructional.
Right.
Yeah, so now it's a non-directional sign?
Well, they're
You think?
directional, but they're not instructional.
Okay,
Yeah, it
And
does,
they're directing people to go right, go out to Perry Highway, not telling them they can't do something, no
Okay,
left turn,
okay.
no right turn. I think
I
that's what the
understand,
discussion
yeah,
was.
yeah, I
So
understand.
if there's any combination of signage we can do here, I mean, we can come up with a half a dozen different scenarios. That's why we'd like to work with staff after final approval and input exactly what you're comfortable with working with staff. Because we can come up with
I
our
definitely like
version
that
of
one.
signage, but you may want to add or take away a sign,
Mhm.
you know, that is the way you would want to have it. So we're willing to work with you on all the signage here.
What we propose makes sense. Do you want to quickly read through those, Dave?
Yeah, so basically, the first sign is proposed exit, letting people know it's the exit only. This sign is, this sign right here is no outlet, all traffic must turn right, and we can, you know, if that's too instructional and want it more directional, we can
So that'd be
delete
visible for
visible
vehicles
people
exiting.
coming here. This sign here is proposed sign to Perry Highway, so exit only, immediately to Perry Highway, they're turning right, the
Okay.
arrow's pointing them to the right. This is already the existing no outlet sign, that's there today. We're proposing another one just up by the entrance, no outlet. We moved this sign 2 sheets only, which was on the right side, we moved it right next to the entrance. So as people come up, they see no outlet, they look here, they see, 2 sheets with the sign right there at the entrance, directing them into the site. And then this sign right here is pedestrian crossing because we have the crosswalk. And again, we can massage, change, reword.
Yeah, I would just on that no outlet, I would put a, no outlet, maybe an arrow to the left. I don't think I would want the,
Yeah, all traffic must turn right, yeah,
ultra, right.
yeah.
That seems a little bit,
Yeah,
Too
very
directional to
restrictive,
me,
Yeah, it's
right.
directional.
it gives the opportunity for somebody to panic or somebody to get a ticket on it.
And then, when we talked about the rear of the site, I'll just use this blow up. There was discussion about the decorative fence versus the board-on-board fence, moving the dumpster over to where those 3 parking spaces were. So basically, what was discussed was that board-on-board fence on the right side of the dumpster between this little concrete knee wall and the dumpster, so that'll be that beige board-on-board fence that we showed. And then there's this little area here that's outside the buffer zones that we're gonna stick 2 more additional evergreen trees in beyond all the additional landscaping that we're already doing. I mentioned that this mound is a foot higher because we adjusted the knee wall, so this mound's another foot higher. On this side of the dumpster, we'll have the guide rail, that decorative fence that I showed you that was on top of the wall, the aluminized, much like what's down at the bank. And then the retaining wall. Now currently the retaining wall ties into the back corner of the dumpster, but a conversation this morning with our structural engineer, they're saying it's better just to tie this wall right into the corner of the dumpster and let the dumpster foundation be its own independent retaining wall, separate from this retaining wall, because they're 2 different types of structures. This will be a modular block with grids, this will be a poured foundation or a block CMU unit with a rebar. So tying it directly into the corner is the way we'll end up final designing that wall.
And any liquids from those dumpsters are gonna flow forward into that drain where
Right.
that dot thing, where this is.
Yeah, right here.
Right
So
here.
everything flows forward, this flows down, we have a high point right here. So anything from this high point goes to this inlet, anything from this high point goes down to that inlet, and then into the system.
Just making sure.
And then we showed you the picture of the cover that we found from talking to some other colleagues at Sheets that work in other states, so we're proposing that cover over top the dumpster. So those would be the changes addressing the comments.
Any questions from anyone from the council?
Great
What
job.
about Toby? Looks like he's waving his hand.
You made a comment about the crosswalk, you said sidewalk, Mr. Rose. It's not a sidewalk that you were proposing, as I understood it, it's a painted crosswalk now.
That is across Montclair. Correct.
Yes.
Painted,
You said
correct.
sidewalk, so make sure nobody thinks we're gonna have a concrete strip across.
No,
there.
no, correct.
Make sure it's all clear.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes,
Yes, that would be
David?
painted, correct.
You wanna talk about the specs to the mountable curb? And we give some dimensions, on the height of it, so technically someone could drive over that.
Yeah, yeah.
Emergency vehicles, if they wanted to turn left, in
Yeah, usually it
Montclair?
has about 1.5 to 2 inch lip. That would be a
It's not
PennDOT,
right.
yeah, that would be the PennDOT standard, being that it's, you know, off a township road, you know, we can make that higher or shallower. Then it goes back 8 inches to a foot at a slope. So think about an asphalt wedge curb, how easily that is to drive up over. Think of something like that, but being in concrete.
Looks good. I don't think anyone has any more comments.
Well, thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, liaison reports, planning commission?
Yeah, the planning commission meeting on April 2nd, 2019, Sheets Land Development Application Plan was not approved by the planning commission. There was a 3-3 vote with one person, Jason Moots, reclusing himself, although he did participate at the meeting with the Montclair Casa Grande people. The major obstacle to the approval was the Montclair Avenue access. Sheets wanted unlimited access, and the PC wasn't willing to give it to them. And okay, so the zoning hearing board, there was no activity this month nor next month.
Okay, good. Sanitary authority?
Cemetery Authority, 2 items of note, progress continues with the authority working together with the town of McCandless to establish a new cooperative joint fill site for road materials on Glen Manor. And then also point out that the effort to convert the A and B plant over and save the ratepayers approximately $1 million is going well. Allegheny County is cooperating with some right-of-way adjustments that will benefit both our ratepayers and the county park with the establishment of some additional access to sewer lines and some road improvements over there. I think that's all I have to report on the sanitary authority.
Okay, ambulance authority?
Ambulance Authority. I submitted the minutes from the January 21st meeting, which was the reorganization meeting for the Ambulance Authority. Also, I provided the most recent financials from March, which projects the year-end, finishing the year-end out with about a $250,000 deficit, about $250,000 in the red. Their budget year ends June 30th, so they're coming up on that. I think that you know, they're working on the strategic planning to address this structural deficit problem that they have between payments and collections, which is not a making of theirs, but of the larger government. But there was a letter, I think, that was sent requesting the contribution to McCandless of 2 of our police cars that are going to be put out of service and would otherwise be auctioned and sold off. And I just wanted to point out, in talking to Steve McInnes, the executive director over there, he verified with me that this has been done in the past. McCandless has donated these vehicles in the past. And then the Ambulance Authority conversely has given them their older vehicles that are out of service for the town to sell and recoup that value. I think the value of those cars was projected something under $10,000. But they feel they could get 5 years of additional service out of them. One would be used for an ALS backup vehicle, that's an advanced life support response vehicle. And then the other would be an administrative vehicle. And so I'd ask that on behalf of the authority that we give that due consideration. I will point out that Franklin Park has been contributing approximately $15,000 a year for several years now as a way to help support the authority further. And they're bringing that type of an issue up in the strategic planning. We'll be addressing that, I'm sure, in the future. That concludes my report on the Ambulance Authority, unless there are any questions.
So we have been asked for our out-of-service cars by also by the fire departments also. And what we have said in the past, as long as I've been on council, not that long, but as long as I've been on council, is that what we did is we offered them at the low price, that the low cog price. I think I said that right. And Municipid, excuse me, I had something to say, at Municipid, the low price. And that we would give them first option. You can get more than that, you get more than that, and we often do, but that we would offer, and that's what we did with the fire department. So, what are your all's thoughts about that?
Either way works for me.
One administrative thought, Mark Sabina pointed out to new town manager Bob Rimini that would we take ownership under this proposal of the used vehicles that the ambulance authority is disposing of? That's a question.
I asked that question to Mr. McKinnis, and he said yes. The town would take ownership of their older vehicles that these two would replace.
So we're basically just trading.
Well,
Except ours have more value than theirs.
Right.
Yes, well,
Right.
that's the reason they're
Considerably
asking
more
for them,
value
yes,
than
yes.
theirs.
so then,
Yeah.
Mr. Sabina's suggestion was that we would put the older cars on municipal, see what we would get as compared to what we would have gotten with a direct sale to the ambulance authority, and see what that difference is, and see if it's enough to have them make up the difference.
Have them make up the difference.
Have the ambulance
Yeah.
authority make up the difference?
If it's nominal, why go through the paperwork? We're talking almost a wash. If it's significant enough, just bring it back to council and say, here's how it turned out.
Do you think that's something that they would be interested in doing?
I think they would be very happy with any accommodation that we would offer them. They're coming hat in hand, as they have in the past. They're doing the best they can, honestly.
Just a question here, if there's, whatever economic effect flows from this, it's strictly a book entry, there's no need to transfer title because of the way the ownership is held, is that correct?
Well,
We would need.
Sure.
Maybe title transfers, yes.
You-
You said no.
There would be
Yeah,
title
there would-
transfers.
Yes.
Oh, they'd have to have a title that's actual title transfer.
So this latest suggestion was,
Yeah.
we swap titles, we put out these older cars out on bid, see what we get for them, bring it back to council. you
Split
see.
the difference, and then,
Is that because of the way the ambulance authority is structured as an entity?
It is a separate entity,
If it
governmental
were-
entity.
if
It's
it
an
were
authority.
not a separate entity,
It is not part of the town.
it would not be, okay.
it's an authority. Just like the sanitary authority, it's a whole separate thing. Okay, all right, so.
Well, thank you all.
Is everyone, all right, so
For that.
we'll go forward with that and see what those, and then just let us know what those differences
those
are.
differences
And we can go from there. The library,
The minutes are enclosed, but I'd like to add to those that we continue to work on getting in the new roof and the air conditioning. And also, this past Saturday night was the gala event that the library has been holding every year. It was a huge success, and because of that and the other activities that they've had, the Learning Garden will be started this spring. So which we're very pleased about.
and the minutes were, I thought, very good. I was able to follow along and
Good.
see how they were doing. It looks like you're having to reconsider those geothermal heating.
Right, so we're going through different companies and different people, and some people promise us things and then they back out of it, and
Yeah,
so we're working through it.
well, I appreciate those
A lot,
minutes. They
a
were-
lot of money.
They're still not quite up to MTSA's minutes, but they're getting there.
Well, I'm,
Lots of words, Bill.
I might add that I'm advocating for them to also look at a solar solution
I've already spoken to
in
them
connection with
about
their
it.
new roof due
Yeah.
to the tax credits this year.
Right,
And so I've been
I
talking.
spoke to her this
The
past
library?
week.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's
What
good.
tax credits will they get since they're not?
So one of the things that we're doing at the RDC is we're working with a solar developer that would take ownership of the tax credits, and then if you do that in conjunction with the new roof, you can not only apply the 30% tax credit to the solar panel cost, but also to the entire cost of the new roof. It's very beneficial, it's a great opportunity to get into a renewable energy source that will then benefit the library for the next 20 or 30 years. So,
In effect, sell it to a profit organization?
a for-profit company
Yeah.
would do the installation and own the installation for 7 years to meet the requirements of the tax credit law.
Oh, okay.
And take the benefit of those, monetize that benefit, share it then with the nonprofit or the
The
authority.
present value, yeah.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
Amy told me about, they've already looked into having a solar panel, you know, where the ground goes down on, was it Hillview there, Toby, beside Hillview, is that road? That goes up beside the
Yes.
library. That could be a possibility of putting solar panels down there,
Yeah.
but no finalization or anything from that yet, so.
With a
Collier
vandal-proof
Township did
fence
something
around
like
it.
I'm sorry,
With a vandal-proof fence.
well, I'll make sure that I mention that. And that was only an idea, so that's not anything that's definite yet.
North Hill Council Governments.
The meeting was rescheduled, and then the rescheduled meeting was canceled, so that's nothing to say.
No report. Joint Rec.
Nothing until next January or February.
What?
Canvas Industrial Development,
We don't have another-
there hasn't been
Oh,
a
wait,
meeting
no.
for some time. There is a meeting scheduled for,
I don't
for,
have anything else.
for tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And the principal agenda item is going to relate to the La Roche's existing debt and what they want to do with that. There's not, besides that, there's nothing else.
Okay, so you have a meeting tomorrow.
Yes,
Okay.
4 o'clock.
Steve, did you reconsider the Joint Rec?
No, I don't have anything to
Okay, just checking.
Steamrolled right over you.
Volunteer Firefighters, Committee. Carolyn's not here. Has there been any more, Joan, as far as you know? No
Not,
meetings?
I'm not aware.
Meeting coming up in May.
Okay.
Minutes are included for your benefit from the last meeting.
I'm sorry?
The minutes from the last steering committee meeting
Right.
are included in your packet. If you have
Right,
any
right, right.
questions, I'd be happy to
Okay.
answer those now. No.
Yeah, okay. North Pittsburgh Community Development Corporation.
Nothing's occurred there. It's been silent for a long time, and nothing's scheduled.
Okay. The Heritage Center Finance Development Promotional Committee.
Included are the ideas of raising money, finances for the Heritage Center. Our group has worked very, very hard on this, and I think they've worked hard to try to please council as to what we want. And I think they've come up with a very good program. We're trying to have at least one program per month. So, I think it's working out very well.
Okay. So there's talk about a sign out there. Where are we on the sign?
Well, I think we're still just working.
Meeting April 24th with a potential contractor.
How much money do we have in the capital fund for, because I think all the improvements were supposed to come out of that. How much money do we have in that?
There's $3,000 budgeted in the general fund for a sign. And then the idea came for a sign that would serve not just the Heritage Center, but the town with all of its various pieces. It would be information potential number 8 in advertising what we do here. The MIDA had made comments that they would be interested in making donations toward a sign like that. It has a greater purpose as well as the purpose for the Heritage Center. And also, we have budgeted money that we could not spend. We have, I believe, I'd have to double check, it was either $20,000 or $30,000 budgeted for gateway signs. It seems like the general response to a sign here at our campus would really pay huge benefits for park traffic, our own activities here. So kind of a three-way split. with the 3,000 just is what we have for a more simple sign. When the signs, people would actually have to change letters, and it's about all you get for about $3,000. So it seems like it could be a nice project. I don't recall the very tentative price, but I think it was about $18,000 for this sign. We'll have to see.
Okay.
What
So
would-
we'll get to look at those, right? We'll get
Oh,
to
yeah.
see them
Yeah.
and see what they do and see how high we want them and that they're not gonna be flashing all night or anything like that.
Well, we thought that area would be perfect though for a sign that the town be part of it, because then it could advertise activities that are going on here in town.
Everything.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan. Community Day. Joanne, you
I
wanna?
was not at the last meeting because that was the same night as my library board meeting,
Okay,
so I was not there, I'm sorry.
okay,
Next meeting's in May.
okay.
Right, and I think they changed it from my library board meeting to another night, so that I'm able to attend, which I appreciated.
Okay. EAC, Steve attended, I was not able to attend, he attended that, for me. There are two, proposals that you got. One was for, that's electronic, it was for Adopt a Highway, and the other was for a garden speaker series. And I have not received any of the previous proposals, the last 3 or 4 that we, to sign.
Okay.
So the proposals, as you saw in our pack, and then you sign and I sign, but I haven't signed any of them, so they may be somewhere that needs to be somewhere.
They are.
So maybe we can put those in a pile with these, if council think that's okay. So the Adopt a Highway program would be the cloverleaf up here, that you get a sign, the EAC would say, this is our part of the road, and we will be responsible for keeping this cleaned up twice a year. It's a 2-year commitment, and it would be the cloverleaf up here, between Ingomar and McKnight. So that's what that is. So,
I got half of that the other day. 60 gallons.
so we could just let Steve adopt it.
That's right.
Oh, that
I would-
that was you
I'm
up there,
adopting
Barbara?
anybody I
saw
see
you.
piles.
I saw you.
I got your space too down there at the corner of Blazer, Blazer and McKnight. There was a 55 gallon bag in that corner too.
Oh,
So, we're okay with that.
yeah, that sounds good.
And also, we didn't get much response, for our, garden, meeting that we had, our beautification. So that may be something we try again at a later time, but, we did get some input on possibly doing a garden speaker series. And you saw the first one that was proposed there, and Phipps has already agreed to come in and do the first one, so,
And do you have a date?
I think they kind of wanted to make sure we approved it first, they didn't want to get too
okay.
presumptive,
Okay.
so. How does that sound to everybody?
Good with me.
Yeah.
Enriching your soil, which, by the way, can be done very nicely with the, town compost pile out there.
If there's anything left.
I know.
Expensive town compost pile.
Yeah. So, and the second load of that should be coming up pretty soon, usually. There's usually two
I think it's like we're
more weeks.
it's like we're giving away gold if you watch the cars up here.
It is, if you've looked at that compost, it is gold.
Yeah.
It is nice. It's in the Zachary garden,
I see
I'll
you
tell
got one of
that.
yours, yeah.
I got more than one.
Well, I saw one while I was collecting for the fire victims.
Okay, was there anything else? The tree planting program, the Allegheny Watershed Alliance is from EAC two, is gonna be April 27th at North Park, 10 to 1.
That's what was this.
AF 303 Pierce Mill Road is where they're gonna meet, so, if you all would like to help with the Watershed Alliance and plant some trees in North Park, that's coming up. Also, the 27th is a big day, if you wanna go to the grand opening for the, baseball, the,
Opening day,
is
man.
the 27th,
Yeah.
so please, RSVP to Marie if you wanna go to that.
April
o'clock.
27th?
It's 10 o'clock on the 27th.
It is, yes.
That's a
You
Sunday.
can
No, it's a Saturday.
You can
Saturday.
throw out a pitch and then go plant trees.
But don't throw too hard or you won't be able to dig the hole with your throwing out shoulder.
Right, right. Since this is kind of an announcement, because I got a little out of order, is that the Covered Bridge program that is at the Heritage Center is April 26th at 6:30 p.m. So that's a big weekend. Okay, Personnel Board. Carolyn is absent tonight. But there was a question about, we had talked about before and then we put it off, and so now we've decided to put it under here tonight, and that is, with our resource officers, we need to replace one for sure. The others we can talk about, but we need to replace one for sure, and then we have another individual who's on the drop program who is also gonna have to be replaced also. So we have the list, you remember the list, right? The list is good for 2 years. So the list ceases to be good in May. So there's a couple of things that we can do here. We can kind of quick interview the next people. You know, there's rules about how you have to order the next people, you know, who you can interview. We can do that from the list that we have. Or, the chief had talked about, and the personnel committee had talked about, that they wanted to change the evaluation, they wanted to, or reevaluate the, not criteria, qualifications.
Selection criteria.
Right, and so the chief had said that he felt like it really needed to be updated. And the personnel, Carolyn was saying that the personnel board kind of felt like that too. She kind of felt like that since we're gonna have to hire 2 individuals, maybe we should update that first, and then we'll have a new list, and then we can get both people, because the one person we for sure will have to get a new list for. So,
Like, get 'em-
how, you know, we can decide how we want to do this. It makes sense to me, you know, we can do whatever everybody wants to do. It makes sense to me to go ahead and get the criteria update it as the chief wants it, and while he's updating the criteria, you know, once that's done, it doesn't sound like it's gonna take very long. Sounds like he knows what, you know, he wants to just work it out with the personnel, committee. Would that have to come before council? That's changes, okay, so that will come before us, and then we could start a new list, and then we could pull off for the first person, and then we've got a list for 2 more years for another one for sure, possibly second, or that would actually be third. So, what are you all thoughts on that? I'd kind of like to get something
have to make a new
updated.
list anyhow, so.
Well, we do have to make the new list anyway. That has to be done.
But can't we start interviewing from the list we have now? Just even if we do like just one or 2?
We couldn't do 2, we just
Okay,
do
well,
1.
Okay, even if we do one,
No,
can't we?
we could.
We
We
do
could
have
do
to
that.
see how many people are still contenders.
Right.
Oh, right.
But where you left it, there were 2 contenders out there, and see if they are still interested, maybe they got employed someplace else. But what Council President is saying is absolutely correct, you need 3 to make a choice for 1. Every time you hire one officer, you have to choose from a list of 3. So we have to see how many are available still, and then see if you have to interview 1, 2, or 3 people.
So I think everything Madam President said is accurate. I just think that the sense I got from the chief's request was that his priority was that we should hire officers sooner than later, that yes, the updates do need to be made going forward, but there are quality candidates available right away. And I think part of the concern probably that's driving that, certainly for me personally, because it's our call, not his, is that we know that we have a manpower shortage right now. We know that we've already had 1 lieutenant that's hasn't been replaced. We have the 2 summer rec officers. Even though they're coming back, they probably have a month of vacation that they have to take. All of our other vacations, and the chief census is better than us, are coming due with the summer season. And we're down to one investigative officer where we normally have carried three.
Protected.
And so, I think there's no harm in us moving forward with interviewing and seeing the quality of the candidates, and try to expedite the process. And if we don't find quality candidates, concurrently, we are updating our other procedures and moving forward. I think that would be, I would feel better moving forward that way with some urgency because of the manpower shortage that we have
I think
right
that
now,
makes a lot of
honestly.
sense.
I agree with you.
Unforeseen
Well,
things
we're
could
actually at the
happen.
highest manpower we've had for years, aren't we? And as far as the regulations go, of 1 per 1,000, we're at where we should be
We're numerically-
on average.
We're numerically at 29, which is the council-approved allotment. The one caveat to that is that the two SROs are spending 3/4 of the
Right, but
time.
they're spending a lot of that time with thousands of people who are, they both
But they're
handle.
not on the streets. They're not on the streets. they're in
Right,
the
but those
schools.
1,000 people, the 1,000 kids in the school, it's per citizen. You know, our census numbers show that we actually are at the correct number. 29 officers, 28,000, so that we actually are slightly technically over, although.
Well, are
Yeah,
the
the
officers
census, it's
doing
limited.
any overtime, or what's going on? There's no overtime being done by the officers?
There's
I don't
always
keep the bu- I don't
overtime.
keep that budget.
There's always overtime.
But my understanding is that they like the overtime, that's,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
that's.
I mean,
But,
I don't necessarily care if we can get a quality person out of it, but I don't think that we're, I don't, this idea that we're short on officers, we're certainly at recommended for an average town, and I personally think that we're better than an average town. So we don't necessarily have the officers, you know, having to arrest an extra 30 or 40 people a month for drug usage or whatever else they use that you would in another town.
Well, we have an officer slated to retire.
Right.
In the next
Oh, I
month.
get it.
We have someone that's out on long-term right now, so you're counting all these people as head count. We have 2 officers that are dedicated to the
One
schools.
detective.
That puts me 4 below our,
Yeah, I
our
definitely
standard,
keep
not,
those.
not at the same rate. You're counting people that have been taken off of the patrols. I think if you look at the patrol hours and the amount of interventions and things that have occurred over the last 4 months, you're gonna see that it's dropped, and it's because of manpower, Steve. And remember too, I mean, things are growing out here. We've had bank robbery, we've had armed robberies. I mean, our police are important, and I really think it doesn't cost us anything to just proceed with the interview of the list to provide to expedite the process. If we don't find anybody that's quality or capable,
Right, and I'm
just
not
keep the
disagreeing
process
with you, we
moving.
can't do that.
yeah,
I'm agreeing with you that we can certainly do that.
then we're in
It just,
agreement.
but we keep putting out there that we're understaffed or we need more manpower, and I don't think that that's the case. I think,
Well, he's saying in the future, near future.
well, certainly in the future, we could be pretty
Yeah, I would
quickly.
say go ahead with it also.
Okay.
So we're doing both, I guess, doing the interviews and setting up the next,
we do have to do another list
right,
for additionally, because
Right.
we won't be interviewing before then,
right,
so we'll have to.
Oh, agree that we should
have to
proceed.
do,
Sure.
we have to,
Yeah.
so we have to do both.
right.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Agree.
And on Ms. Schweiger's behalf, and Bob, if I may just, we had this, Bob and I talked with Ms. Schweiger since she couldn't be here, and she knows the Personnel Board has already started working on looking at criteria for the other municipalities do, and a number of other resources that they've been given to start that process. Because when this list dies, another one should, we've obviously discussed that tonight, another one should be started.
Right.
And I will be meeting with the personnel board on the 29th
Yes,
to,
in a work session.
in a work session to keep that moving forward.
Okay? All right. So we'll, look at the, previous list and see if we can get something going by the end of May. If we can get, in contact with everyone and get that going, and then we'll progress with, moving forward with our, new, evaluation or new, criteria for, officers.
Madam
And then
President.
we'll make an announcement, so we can have people who wanna test and apply, we'll make that announcement again.
Madam President, with regard to the end of May, I believe that the current list expires
Earlier.
around May 20th or 30th. You-
Yeah, what,
you
I
that
don't
was,
have the
was
exact
my
date,
question.
but,
We would have to begin interviews prior to the end of May.
with
is
you
my thought.
authorizing it tonight, as you have, to say, start the process and start to schedule interviews, I think you captured that.
So we're doing it before the expiration date.
If you are
Okay.
starting
Thank
to, you're trying to complete the interview process. It doesn't, I don't think it says, Kate, if you, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have to complete it, but you have to initiate the interview process.
Correct.
Perfect, okay.
And does what we're doing now count as initiating the interview
Mhm.
process, or does that mean start interviewing?
I think we would staff would walk away from this meeting saying, Chief, schedule, find these people, and if
See
you
if
have any
they still want
last
the
minute
job.
background checks to do.
Are interested in
And
interviewing,
schedule,
right?
and
Yeah.
schedule.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, all right, good,
Good,
so we don't
good.
really, there shouldn't be problems with that deadline
Good.
then.
Right,
Okay.
good, thank you.
Okay, the, junior council member report,
Alright, so, this month I did it on the sidewalk that you guys discussed,
Thank you.
last week, that you guys were planning on building outside Gubbs Road. So, a few of you commented, I saw that,
folks, so sorry, all
sorry.
this stuff is there.
that there was some, like, discussion that it might not connect to anything, that it was just along this road and would end at the,
Excuse me, my,
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. So that it wouldn't really connect to anything, it would just be along Grubbs Road and would really end at the council building. And so I was looking around on Google Maps and also drove around a little bit after the meeting, looking for other possible locations where a sidewalk could be built, to move like the 300 feet that would be built here to somewhere else. So North Park is really where a lot of the sidewalks in McCandless are. So the expression, all roads lead to Rome, so all sidewalks lead to North Park was kind of the sense that I was getting. That instead of building like multiple smaller networks of sidewalk to build one like large one, that just like we start building out from North Park. So along East Ingomar Road, there's a few businesses, there's mini golf, there's batting range, par 3. So a possible sidewalk along that road, maybe coming down to the soccer fields from East Ingomar Road would be a possible alternative route. And I feel like that would also help people walking in the park to come to these businesses. And so maybe like slowly like build this section, because right now there's only a unprotected shoulder on the road. So start with this, and then next year maybe like build one to like just a bunch of neighborhoods like behind that church on East Ingomar. So slowly start building that direction. Or my other alternate location was on Coomer Road, Coomer Road, on the traffic light up there. There's a really narrow, because I've like biked around there because a few of my friends live up there. So right now on that road, there's a really narrow shoulder, like it's probably like 8 inches, I doubt it's even a foot. So like biking or walking on that road is really dangerous, especially because there's a bunch of like blind curves. So I feel like a sidewalk along that road leading up to the neighborhoods up there would help the residents at the top of that hill and all the branching off would like help them come down to North Park. And that road eventually does lead to Cumberland where the library is, and also McCandless Crossing, so like an eventual connection to North Park, McCandless Crossing, I feel would be real beneficial to the town.
Yeah, but along Coomer, as I recall, that gets very steep in places. There's, it comes, the yards come right up to the road almost, and they're very steep.
So the road originally, when you do leave the intersection right there, is a little steep. I don't know if it would be, it's not like you need stairs steep, so I think like a sidewalk would still be beneficial. It could be a little steep in some areas, I don't know, but I did like drive up the road after the meeting last week, and I think that it would be helpful to at least like up the neighborhoods.
I talked to Bill actually about, speaking with our, county councilwoman to, find out where that road was on the repaving schedule, the county repaving schedule, because it's in.
Where was?
Coomer, excuse me, and to see where that was. I haven't heard back from that, and to see that if that was something that was gonna be coming up in the next couple of years, that maybe we could have a partnership with them and see if we couldn't help, see what we could do on that road. See if we, because people bike on that road and walk on that road all the time, and you're right, there is a big connection with, it's La Roche and it's McKinley's Crossing and it's,
And Vincention.
Right, that's right, and that comes all down to the park,
Right.
so it's a county road, so we can't just go and do what we want to with it, but maybe when they do, next time we could see about possibly widening it or doing something.
Right, we have 3 feet up at the top, I believe, the whole flat is
The top
a
is
3 foot.
easy,
Right,
it's
Yeah.
after you
Yeah.
come down the hill that it gets
right,
tough.
I'm looking at that now, it's,
Yeah, I walked this when before I called, before I
Yes.
some
emailed
places
you.
on the left, you couldn't fit a bike tire between the
Yeah,
white
but
line and the curb.
there's a drainage ditch on the other side.
Right,
So if they were gonna rework that road, we could just see what could possibly be done. I don't know what could be
So,
done,
so
we could see.
So, Madam President, it's not on the list for this year, clearly, but.
Right, not
but
this
we
year.
will- But we will get that up on their radar.
Yeah.
And I think Junior Councilman here has pointed out the many, many opportunities in our town that need connections. Didn't even mention the $750,000 worth of sidewalks we have on the Wexford Flats that currently now aren't connected to any neighborhoods at all. And we've invested, the businesses collectively and the state have invested a lot of money up there as well, so another opportunity, so, thank you, yes, excellent job.
Thank you.
Good report, thank
Thank you,
you,
Mike.
good job.
So since we're on sidewalks, we had talked about, we've been talking about, putting a sidewalk across here. And then, like I said, we were talking about this for over, a year and a half now. And, we have the money in the budget to go forward with that. We were discussing what plan that we wanted. Did we want to just do a sidewalk? Did we want to do a bike and a sidewalk? Or what did we want to do out there? And, then, Bill, you were looking into, another possible site?
Wexford
No,
Flats.
Bridge, yes, it was at the top of Route 19, being North Allegheny High School, and the businesses along Wexford Flats would be the destination, and the community there, the Oak Ridge community is absolutely landlocked by only about 150 feet of very dangerous high-speed Route 19 traffic there that they just can't get to those sidewalks.
I'm not
And it would
sure, where are you coming from, cause I measured that at 450 feet.
I'm not gonna argue with you over 200 feet, but.
That's a lot of concrete.
And
That's a
part of
lot
it's a
of
big
money.
steep,
It would
part of
take
it's
it
very steep,
Across the high school,
which is
where the
gonna,
high school
I
is.
bet you that
Yeah.
450 feet more expensive than the
So did
1600
we
feet.
look at is it feasible? Because, we wanted to put a sidewalk down Cumberland to connect the, middle schools down here, but it's not feasible. I mean, it's cost prohibitive because of the retaining walls that would have to be there and what we would have to do. So
Right,
is
right.
is it feasible to do?
We would dig, you have
I mean,
to
I-
dig for certain, I did look at it on the map.
Yeah, yes,
I would suggest, Bruce and Betty from zoning and land use and Mark Sabino took a look, and they,
Okay.
I think the next recommendations, and we talked with Bob about,
I think it would be for,
yeah,
if you have the opportunity for you to go out with Mark and Bruce, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
we're talking about the right,
And then we
Footage
can,
and
we can
stuff,
get
yeah,
a
yeah.
general idea of cost from staff, bring that back to the council, and let the council make a decision in terms of which direction they wanna go. But we wanna make sure we're thinking the same way you are.
and I wanna be clear, I agree that getting connection from Glacier to Town Hall and the fields here and the activities here at the town is a good priority and a first priority. And I'm just suggesting that, given the issues we realized with the bridge, suggestions from a number of council members, maybe it would be safer if we had some type of a adjacent structure or something for pedestrians and bikes. Clearly, that's not in what we have now budgeted, and since it ends at Ingomar anyway, Ingomar Road, if there's an opportunity, I'm simply asking to look and see if there's a better opportunity right now for that than just ending at Ingomar Road. That's all. We still capture all of the benefits of tying in town council too. I agree with you. I'm looking at people that it actually affects and people, head
Right.
count, honestly.
Now that's
And
where-
existing sidewalk infrastructure.
Where it ends at Ingomar, there's a wide, very wide road, I mean,
3 or 4
on that
feet.
side.
Mhm.
3 or 4 feet, no, it's more than that, because
Is
we
it
just
really?
rode our bikes down there, it's a lot more than that. That you drive right to the crosswalk, on this side of the road, you don't even have to cross to Ingomar. So, and when I was walking down here in the mud, down in the grass to come down for the Easter egg hunt,
Mhm.
right? So was everybody else,
Absolutely.
walking in the mud. So I really would like to see us go ahead with the sidewalk here. Now, what I am saying is, let's look at this other area, and, we have some money left over from the salt. So why don't we look at that area up there and see how much the area that you're talking about, if it's feasible, maybe what those costs would be. But we had a nice little chunk of change left over from salt this year. So it could be possible to do both of those.
And how long is it gonna take to plan for, because what you're talking about still needs the plans, this is planned at this point.
It is, this is,
Well, you're
this is
talking about
done.
a year in advance, even if we don't do this.
I hope it doesn't take a year to.
We've spent 2 years doing this much.
Doing this, and
Mhm.
to have it just stopped when we've 2 years and it's in the budget and it's ready to go, we just have to decide how ready to go we want it to be. Do we want the full extension, which I don't think we need the bike lane, the 3 foot of grass, and then the sidewalk. I don't feel like that we
Right.
need all that, but I do feel like that we need a sidewalk that connects here to there, the whole length of our property. And I do think it will be a lovely connection when we get, like I said, we're working with Mr. West to get, that whole area up here, all those apartments connected with either stairs or switchback trail, whatever we want coming off that hill, and then Blazer Drive with the sidewalk that they're gonna put in there with their, their land use. We were hoping that that's, gonna go forward. I think, we
Well,
have,
I'd still like to see the property on Blazer Drive that developed before we get into this really sidewalks and stuff like that, because you did want to bring a sidewalk, well, there's a sidewalk most of the way along Corporate Drive, and for the,
Corbett Drive, McCandless.
oh, McCandless Drive, I'm
yeah.
sorry, McCandless Drive. I'd like to see them develop that property first. You know what property I'm talking about, the
Right.
Right.
the former.
Well, right, the one that, if things go forward, they're planning on, that's where we're headed with this,
Yeah,
with the C3 that we've changed.
And we are wisely
C-
holding off
C5.
on those road improvements over there as well for the development. We're
Right.
holding off on the Blazer.
Right,
Drive
that's
road
on
improvements
Blazer
as
though,
well.
that's
Sure. I think
about a
there's,
quarter
I think
mile
there's,
away.
yeah, I think there's just merit in, I appreciate folks listening to my thoughts and simply, again, just trying to leverage the sidewalk investment that we already have in places and
Well-
making sure that we're connecting those. And
well, I preferred that because you do have, I see kids going along Wexford Flats
Blacks, right?
to and from school, to the stores, to the football games,
very
to
heavily
basketball
used
games.
corridor
Right.
pedestrian.
Well, I see them all over, I see them running Cumberland Road, which we just
Yeah.
3 months ago decided we weren't gonna force the school to put a sidewalk
It
in.
was,
Cumberland,
It was
they're
too
running
expensive.
Cumberland Road.
Yeah, I see them running down Cumberland Road
I do too, when we were down there walking it with
to
every people.
McKnight and then for some reason crossing McKnight, and I see them doing it in herds of
Yeah.
know,
cross-
15 or
yeah,
20
you're talking
kids.
about
Well, that's kind of my
cross-country?
point.
You
We're
talking about cross-country?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point, is we're talking about two other heavily used pedestrian
Oh,
corridors.
they're all
that
over the
we're not even-
place.
Yeah,
And I get that. I definitely
All
think
right.
we need to
I
be
think
looking
we
at
do.
them. I just think that at this point, we know how, by the time we hire someone, send them out to the site, tell them to survey it, tell them to get us our cost on everything, it's going to be next summer before any of these new locations actually happen. I think, I mean, I know the way it works. Everything takes forever.
I'll avail myself to Mark and whoever's necessary to expedite this review as quickly as possible. I mean,
We'll have them get hold of you now. Arrange a time and then we'll all go out and look at it.
and I do not object to the sidewalk from Blazer to Town Hall for sure. I'm just hoping that we could maybe leverage some of the other sidewalk more, just much more effectively.
Well, can we agree to put that salt money aside for possibly another sidewalk? So, but if we do that,
It's
What is
not
the money on
allotted
that
for
side
anything
with the
else.
salt? Do we know?
no, what?
Do you know what the money offhand is on the
I
salt?
do know what it is. But no, it
Hasn't
was
been
just,
allotted
it
for
was,
anything.
we haven't done the budget yet for next year. It was money we saved this year.
Right,
So
okay.
we don't reallot till we do the budget.
Okay.
So, but we would have that money, it's like bonus money that we would have. But, so you do not wanna go forward with the sidewalk here on,
I'm not real excited about
Grove's
it.
Neck.
I don't,
You don't like sidewalks anywhere.
No,
though,
I don't
Greg.
like
Yes, you
sidewalks.
do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
hate
you're right, you're
sidewalks
right.
everywhere.
I do not like
Okay.
sidewalks.
So, all right, so you don't want
I
sidewalks at all?
think we should wait until we look into the Wexford area and then
Yeah,
make a
right,
decision.
Now, this
We could
Wexford
do
area,
Both.
right,
We don't
this
have just
Wexford
one.
area is, for, like I said, 450 feet from the end of the sidewalk that exists up there by what I would call the Subaru dealer, down to, what is it, Forest View or Longview or something.
Who owns that who owns that, is that
Well,
in
some
front
of it is
business?
across that, that car dealership, which I believe is part of Schultz Ford now, and then part of it is those three houses that come down the hill. And
So
then,
we would have to get
but that
permission
actually gets us just down to the road itself, and then there's two full roads. The sidewalk getting onto Oak Ridge it's actually over 2,000 feet from. If you actually start where the sidewalk on Oak Ridge ends, to where the sidewalk on 19 ends, it's a 2,000 foot difference. But if you're just getting down to the road,
Just
then
get
you're
into
like
a
450
residential,
feet.
low-speed road, which we have all through McCandless without sidewalks. I mean,
Right.
that's what we're trying.
and most of that
that's
has.
safe pedestrian use, you know that.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you, I rode that 1,000 times on my bike, that
Yeah.
whole hill. Back in the 80s, I don't know if the traffic was worse or better back then, but my big concern is that hill as you come down the road. I don't know how much that's gonna cost, we're gonna have to excavate that.
I agree we
If
can't
we're gonna
design
add
it
the
tonight.
sidewalk.
I will avail myself and expedite as quickly as possible, if that's okay, and we'll just take a quick look.
Certainly can take a quick look, I'd like to get
So,
one of these done this summer.
so Greg says no sidewalks anywhere, what does everyone else say?
I want something this summer.
No, I want something up Perrymont, so, these people that get the bus and stop at Perrymont can have a sidewalk up, beyond Vincentian, but that's a lot of private property, so I know that's not possible,
Beyond Vincentian on Perrymont.
yeah. I mean, you get a lot of people that, get the bus, since the bus doesn't run on Perry Highway, they get the bus up McKnight, and they have to walk over to, Perry Highway.
Isn't there a sidewalk that goes up there?
Yeah, that does on Vincentian, but I'm talking
Yeah.
about beyond Vincentian.
I mean, get to the top of the hill. and
Yeah,
then
right.
What, it just cuts off there?
Yeah, it cuts off, yeah.
Okay, so everyone's wants a sidewalk, they just want it in
Oh.
their,
In their
in their
spot.
own
In
place.
their own area.
Right,
Oh.
except me, I don't, I want it where
Now
it's gonna
I'm
help the town the
understanding
most.
what's happening here, okay, cause I couldn't figure out how we all wanted a sidewalk and now
No,
nobody
well,
wants a
you,
sidewalk.
when push
Well, there's
came
a
to
study.
shove,
Oh,
I
okay,
think the
okay.
sidewalks are good, it's just where we're putting them.
Okay, okay,
well,
so,
I don't even think they're good.
all right, so Greg says, all right, no sidewalks, Steve is,
I think that the 450 feet that Bill is talking about is going to cost as much as, if not more than the 1,600 feet in front of the
But isn't
council.
it something we have to look at?
I do think we have to look at it, but it's
so
gonna
how
cost,
many, how
and I
many do
don't
we need
think,
to look at before we decide? Just these two, or should we look at his too?
No, don't look at Paramount, because you got a lot of private property, and people will not want that
The
sidewalk
biggest
on
concern-
private property.
is that hill coming down to Longview. To me,
So,
that's gonna need excavated to put a sidewalk in. That's a 4 or 5 foot high bank. Which means-
Where are you pointing the bank?
This is a bank here, this is a 4 or 5 foot high bank.
Isn't
So you have to
Longview
cut
across
back
from,
into the bank.
McCann's across
Who
the
owns
east?
that? That's private or is that?
Longview is coming, if you're coming, as soon as you leave the Wexford Flats and start coming down the hill,
This is Pear Hill,
on the right.
right?
You can only get into it one way, there's a medial.
Yeah, but who's thinking about putting a sidewalk
Can't
there?
visualize.
That's where Bill's talking about, a sidewalk from there down towards Oak Ridge, right?
What's the nearest?
I thought you was
one?
talking about the flats.
What's
I
that?
am, I
What's the
don't, I'm
nearest
not sure
Quad
what
Street?
he's talking about.
Right over
I'm
here is
designing
going
here
down Old
tonight.
Babcock
I
to
would
Billy's.
support
Okay, I got you.
today.
I'm with you.
See, see the Billy's?
Ready to go down the
Yeah,
hill.
I'm with you.
So I'm just heading down the
Keep you
hill,
out of the mud for the
He's-
eggs.
and then here's
Yeah,
what I
my
would call
shoes are all messed up.
Well, you have to
the
wear
old
boots.
Subaru dealer.
I think he is too, yeah.
What's
It
that?
was
I think
80
you're looking at a
degrees.
different place than he is.
Where is your Oak Ridge? There's only one Oak Ridge that I know.
No, it's right at the top of the hill, the first
Yeah,
street
not,
at the
not
end of
coming
Wexford
down the
Flats.
hill. He's not talking about
Very
coming down
first
the
street
hill.
right there.
Well,
at the
that's
end
the
of
reason
Wexford
Steve
Flats.
is,
'Cause that's where
I
the
mean,
neighborhood
that,
belongs.
Bill is gonna look at it, so he knows exactly, so we all
All right.
know what we're talking about. We're
Draw a
gonna have
map.
pictures,
Yep.
and then we're
In
gonna
order
all
to follow through in
understand,
that
and
proceed,
it's
on
gonna be
that
awesome.
proposal.
Yeah,
And then we know what we're talking about.
Have a look.
Okay, all right, so,
Well, we hold off on this until he finds out what's
so,
involved.
all right, so then my other question is, so how many other places do we need to check? Because if Bill gets his stuff, then I don't wanna hear, oh, we need to check another place, oh, we need to check another place, we need to check another place, cause we've been checking this place for almost 2 years now.
Right.
Well,
So-
I would try some from Vincentian to Coomer along by Babcock. Well, Bruce Petty said.
Okay, so
that-
here's our third site.
Coomer.
No, I'm just, this was discussed with Bruce Petty.
Right, we've talked about that multiple
Yeah.
times.
You know.
That's
to-
way
out
more
to-
than 1,600 feet.
Yeah, well, there's sidewalks in it, a lot of it has sidewalks in it, a lot of McCann's Crossing has sidewalks. So they're already taken care of, but there's,
Any other place we need to look at?
I think what we should,
Comprehensive plan is soon to be released.
he took the words out of my mouth, Madam President. This suggests that we should have some type of a comprehensive planning process for making connections.
Right, and they're suggesting the big roads, at least, you know, last I was, they were talking about Ingomar, Pine Creek, Babcock from Executive Drive all the way to the park, which,
This actually
is
is one of the ones that
miles,
are proposed in the
yeah.
comprehensive plan, because it connect all the way down to Pine Creek.
right.
So, yeah,
So
so the
they've-
intersection, so this was one of the ones that are in the.
But these are the ones they're talking about are multi-million-dollar sidewalks.
Right, but we have enough money right now to do this section.
Right,
And then we have friends developing here to do their section,
right.
so that's a
Oh, I
couple
mean,
of
I
sections
think,
there.
I think we should certainly be looking at what Bill wants to do, but I think I think it's gonna be a year or two into the future. I don't think there's any way at all this is gonna be a summer, we're never gonna get this done this summer, especially with the amount of excavation that needs done.
Steve, do you think the developer will have all of his sidewalks in Long Glacier Drive you're talking about this
No.
year? All right.
No, but I'm talking
But
about
we
just
can-
ours.
Doesn't-
We
I'm
can
talking
get
about
ours
us
in.
making everybody else put sidewalks in while we don't have a sidewalk in on our own main piece of property.
it's the McCann's way.
That's right. It does seem to be that way.
Thank you for giving me time to take a look at that.
was a
Okay,
nice
so,
conclusion.
so is there any other property that any other sidewalk that we need to look at? So we're not dragging this out again and again? Just that one?
the comprehensive plan is just like, I think ultimately that should be our guide
Now,
going forward.
And this is.
beyond this, beyond the side, not that the sidewalks are certainly a big issue, but should we be saying to ourselves, all right, in the areas where we can't be putting necessarily the sidewalks in everywhere, when we repave, should we be doing what we did to the top of Coomer Road? Where we widen the road by 2 or 3 feet to our property's edge, to our right-of-way's edge.
Well, that's
At
why I
the
was
top?
trying to partner with
Up the
the,
hill, up the hill.
On the
to-
flat part from Babcock in get down to the hill, there's, you know,
Oh, okay, so down at the bottom.
the road, yeah, well,
Near-
yeah, eventually down at the bottom, but I'm saying any new big roads we pave
Mhm.
that aren't in sidewalk areas.
Mhm.
Should we be saying, look, if we're repaving this road, we want this road paved 3 feet right and left of the fog
That'd be a
line?
good idea.
And then we have, it's not necessarily a sidewalk, but it's a
Yeah,
safer
right.
place. And even if that fog line ends up with little bumpies on it, so if someone drifts off of the fog line, they know, oh crap.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, that solves a lot of bicycle walking problems. And it's certainly cheaper than the sidewalks themselves.
Right.
But my vote is definitely to do the sidewalk here. I mean, just because it's taken so long, and I don't think we can do anything this year if we don't do the sidewalk here now.
so when will that report come, Bill?
Let me ask Mr. Grimm, do you think, this week is, Holy Week, and you think
This is
next
Good
week?
Friday.
I was
Good
gonna
Friday?
say,
Easter.
Bruce will be back in town on Thursday,
Mhm.
and we could either meet at some point Thursday,
That would be fine with me.
or even next Monday.
Okay.
Now, if Bruce and Mark do this normally, why did we have the other company do the
This is
presentation?
just to get preliminary.
Just to get a rough.
This is ballpark, this is ballpark, rough
This is
estimate.
the,
So what is Bruce and Mark?
That's what they're the ballparks.
we
Okay.
can use our
And then
GIS.
We don't
Engineers
wanna
come
spend
in.
money with Gateway
Right.
immediately to get some cost. We'll get some rough costs, and then if the council wants to move forward, then we can engage Gateway to do some more significant engineering studies.
And if it really is dramatic, then we have to revisit this, I think, and I'm willing to do that.
Well, hopefully it's a week or 2 or 3.
Right.
I don't
Like I
think if
said.
it's any more than a month, then we're gonna lose the opportunity to get this sidewalk in at all. We won't have any sidewalks new in the Canos this year.
Town manager, well, town manager report, I think everybody has that. Was there any highlights that you needed to bring up with that report, or is it, are we?
Did we skip you?
I've been kind of making correspondence
Making it
reports
up
the
as you
whole
go,
time.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of anything real specific that we would need to.
No,
Toby and I kind of tag team this one.
Yeah, we covered you covered the police car work, and let me chime in on that, with that suggestion that we heard today about the ambulance authority.
Okay.
And we got an email from PennDOT on item 1B, the Pine Creek corridor breakdown of cost. It's still on a conceptual level, so it's a summary level rather than a detailed breakdown of the cost. Although it gets us closer to what to knowing what the actual construction cost tally PennDOT has is. I can give us that, at least the summary total of the construction cost was, we were required to pay anything over $1.7 million. The original bid price was just under $2.5 million, and it ended up a little over $2.5 million. So we will likely owe for the construction cost toward the project $803,037.66. If that number, we want that number validated by PennDOT with a breakdown of, unit costs.
Nobody gives us up.
So, we had been booking, I thought we had been booking $790, and I reported that verbally last month. We booked $749 toward that. We had never received any kind of invoice or billing for inspection costs as well. And, PennDOT unveiled that to us, but we want some kind of backup on that. But that's $181,000. So that's what we would be $13,000 over what the original contract was, which isn't bad for the $13,000 worth of extras on that. And so we probably would end up spending some of the salt money. PennDOT has eliminated $61,000 upon our request, and trying to review the agreement with them, getting a consensus with them on that. So we're still.
So we don't know how much we're paying.
Yeah,
still.
we're still looking at those numbers. I wanted to give you an idea of where we might be. So I'm gonna call into the PennDOT rep.
I wonder if that's going to be, you just said it's gonna pick up without the mics. You speak pretty quietly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just wondering hopefully the people will be able to hear it
Okay.
tomorrow when it opens.
Town attorney's report?
Thanks everyone for having
I'm
me
sorry,
tonight.
I wasn't quite fast enough. I had one question on a subject that's been near and dear to my heart. Number 15 of the joint Grimm-Kordek report. I didn't quite understand. I'm familiar with the damage that's been done to those lights. And the Department of
Back
Public
on
Works
that.
crew is looking at constructing boxes around the lights. In addition to the cages, there's gonna be a cage and
I
then
think Mark talked to me about that on Friday, and he said that he had found some cages that would go around the light that he's proposing to use on that, in that area, made specifically for that type of light. So they were the company was going to be sending a sample for them to try to see how that worked.
the cages, I understood.
Cages.
But what I don't understand is in addition to the cages, some sort of constructing boxes around the light. So you'll have a cage and then boxes around it. What are you,
Okay, he only spoke to me about the cages, but
I just don't get what they're talking, what the proposal is.
Well, maybe they can show it to us once
Right.
they've decided on it, so we could just see what
Yeah.
it looks like, and then we
They're
can
doodling
understand
over
it.
I wanted you to know they're
Yeah.
trying to do anything
Yeah.
they can to
Yeah.
prevent the.
Maybe
vandalism.
they could have a couple of armed guards out every 5 yards.
That's probably the only.
Well, there's game cameras now that videotape to your phone, your cell phone,
We had
upon
used-
motion.
We had used the game cameras, maybe it was an older vintage, but there was an individual, he just could not make out features on the vintage of the camera, but that's something else. There's a couple of things we're looking at for additional security there.
Now, I mean, we can take a picture from space and see a pimple on your butt, but we can't seem to get a picture of someone from 15 feet away on a telephone pole. All right.
Okay, our town attorney was gonna talk to us about patronicity and the online fundraising.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was not aware of that. I did actually look into it a bit for Gavin.
Okay.
We're still trying, researching the idea of this platform. Really interesting, new novel way for municipal fundraising to be done in this way. I'm sorry, I don't have anything concrete for you tonight, to discuss.
Okay, we have some time limits on our fitness court. So
Okay.
we're looking for some ways to do some fundraising, and this was a way that was suggested. So we wanted to get the go-ahead from the attorneys that this was indeed a good thing that we could do, and it was up and up, and, you know, all those kind of things, so we could, get started on that, so.
John Bajarski noted that the time frames were extended into 2020.
Oh,
Spring-
excellent.
Spring of 2020, which gives us some breathing room.
Oh, good.
I'm glad.
That's very good. Yeah, because they were coming up. Okay.
They're very happy with what we're trying to do here. They really want to have
Good.
something here in the Pittsburgh area, as they call us.
The Pittsburgh area. Good. So we'll be glad to represent Pittsburgh in that way. That is all I have. Does anyone have anything else? Any council members have anything? Any
When are the
citizens?
chickens coming up?
Once this tile goes down just a little bit more, we're getting there.
Holy jeez.
We're getting there.
It's Bruce's position that you're not allowed to have chickens.
Yeah, well, that's a ridiculous.
Well, then we're gonna do it when he's out of town. That's where the heck is. We got no sidewalks, we got no chickens. Are there any comments, from any citizens? About any of the agenda items this evening?
And there's a,
Well, come on up, girl, you know how it works.
No, I just want to talk about the sidewalks just for a second. I know, I don't want to beat the dead horse any further. Marcia Caliendo. It's great. I think we need to wait for I don't know what's in the plan, the comprehensive plan, if they specifically address sidewalks, but it sounds like you almost need a committee, and I don't know if it's a subcommittee of planning or somebody, just to talk about, I mean, all these areas sound great with a great need. But I think we need to prioritize because we need to budget, and I think a committee to take a look at that, a subcommittee of maybe planning might sound like a good idea. So that's just all I wanted to say.
The comprehensive plan actually has drawn out connections.
Yeah.
And, of where the sidewalks can go. It is a multi-decade
Yes, and
situation.
many
This is
millions of
not gonna
dollars.
happen, and some sidewalks are gonna go nowhere for a little while. That's how it's gonna have to be, and then we're gonna be able to hook them up.
We have
You
to
know.
start somewhere.
And we have to start somewhere, exactly. So, and when that comes out, and it's coming out really soon, it's gonna be awesome, because they have them drawn, there, so they show how, the cross connectivity, through the town, and, it's pretty exciting, I will tell you, so.
I'm sitting up.
Council had those, it's a long document, I know, we got to read it a chapter at a time, the people on the committee, and you all kinda got it all at once, I know it's a lot, but, it's really, the presentation of it is nice, it's readable, it's approachable, I think it's gonna be good, Anything else? All right. We don't have to have a motion to close this meeting, do we? I always forget. Okay, meeting adjourned. Committee meeting.